That's right. Good, thank you. All right, I'm gonna call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order and invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice to hear all the kids saying it.
What's that?
Nice to hear all the kids.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? So moved. Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Approval of consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes only the approval of the March 4th, 2025 Board of Education regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? No, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Audience of citizens. We have anyone with us in person who would like to address the board at this time? How about online? Do we have anyone online? Not at this point. Okay, and we'll have a second opportunity for public comment towards the end of the meeting if anybody changes their mind. We're going to move along to the Portland Public Schools Spotlight, and I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Britton for this first
Oh,
item.
thank you. I love this. So lots of people out there may know March for St. Patrick's Day or potentially March Madness, right? But I think that we all have to pause for a second to recognize that March is also Board of Education Appreciation Month. And I don't think a lot of people understand exactly how much time and effort you guys put into this. I mean, I know that everybody is aware of and sees our public meetings, which often go very long, and we talk about a lot of very complicated things. But your work in addition to this on our policy committee, subcommittee, buildings and grounds committee. For those who don't know, some of these board members are out, oh gosh, till 10, 11 o'clock at night negotiating contracts, talking about curriculum, looking over policies. I mean, there are countless hours that go in some of the most consequential decisions that affect how our schools are financed, how they're run, who's hired to run them, the curriculum we teach our students. And it has not been easy for you guys. I want to fully recognize that a lot of the decisions that you've had to make over the years, they've not been easy, right? And I know that they've tested you. They've called on you to, search your souls and consider your heart and really think long and hard about what's in the best interest for the schools and the students we serve. But I can tell you categorically, the thing that impresses me most about everybody sitting around this table is how egoless you are, how selfless you are, how much you're willing to contribute to this town for one reason, because you love all those kids out there. You love all of our students. You're not making any money doing this. You're taking time away from your families, taking time away from your careers, time away from those things that you love. You're not out exercising or reading or doing fun things. You're here talking about policies and budgets. And when you're in the thick of it, I know that you're doing it because you're recognizing all these kids and faculty and staff here today need your support, and that things wouldn't run around here if not for your tireless and hard work. So I know I appreciate everything you do. And tonight it's an opportunity for us to pay you back a little bit. So we have some treats for you. First, I'll hold them up so everybody can see at home. We have, let's see what this is. Is this the 3D? We have a keychain. It is a 3D printed keychain, pretty cool, designed by Miriam in 7th grade. Right, so we have this for you. The second treat we have for you is, where's the wood plaque? Here's a wood plaque. This is made by our students in our wood processing class here at the high school. So this is another little treat for you. We have some sweet treats over here. These came from Ms. Ball's Family and Consumer Science course. So
Oh.
little thank yous from each of the schools. And we have some additional little prizes for you. So first treat I have Ms. Graff. Trace, do you want to introduce your students and present some presents? Oh, that's right. This just came in too while they're coming up here. We just got these tonight. These are from, was it Ms. Lucas?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Family Consumer Science Auxiliary got some chocolate covered Oreos. So you didn't have your dinner tonight. Thank you for those. And these just came in, literally hot off the press, the fondue plate. Where
They look so good.
Well, we didn't bring food, but I think you'll like this anyway. So when we heard that it was board education appreciation, we wanted to celebrate and know how much we appreciate you as well. So I asked each of my classroom teachers to nominate a student who's really been showing the way to be this past month. And they created something special for you. And not all of them were able to come tonight, but some of them are here. So Emily, we're starting with you, right? All right. Let's see. Is it okay if I take it down? Absolutely. All right.
Good morning. We are so excited to be, good evening. We are so excited to be here tonight to celebrate the Board of Education Appreciation Month. Thank you for all that you do to support the students, teachers, and parents of our schools. At Gildersleeve School, we love to read. We also know that you do too. We wanted to make something special, your very own bookmark. Each bookmark was made by a Gildersleeve student and features a bee, because at our school we know the way to be responsible, be respectful, and be safe. We hope that every time you use these bookmarks, you remember how much we appreciate all the hard work you do for our schools. Thank you for helping us learn.
So go do it for them now too.
What are these beautiful bookmarks? Thank you very much.
Right here.
Mind if I just grab a picture of them up here?
Thank you so much. Oh, these are.
Alright, guys, just turn this way without recording.
Oh, I don't think you can see her. She's tiny.
After come up front.
Thank
These
you.
are beautiful.
How nice. Thank you.
All right, and we have one more treat for you. This is from our students at Valley View, and this comes to us over a video.
Can they start it over? We missed half of it. Would they mind starting? Okay, thank you.
Adorable.
Wow, thank you.
So
My
nice.
goodness.
Well, I don't know
All
if
the
you guys
reason
want
why
to take
we're
a break
here.
and have a treat, or you want to save them till the end? It's up to you. You're not. You grab one on the way out.
Maybe at the end.
Yeah,
All
all
right.
right. All right, good.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
That was wonderful. And we didn't get to thank our kiddos before they left, but for all the Gildersleeve kiddos, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and joining us. We
Yeah,
really
thanks.
appreciate it.
That makes it all worthwhile. I hope. That's good.
Oh, makes the
That was lovely.
all
Thank you so
work
much.
much more meaningful. That's great. That was great.
Yeah. All right. That was super sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trish.
All right, we have a second Board of Ed spotlight, Portland Public School spotlight tonight that we're excited about. We are welcoming the RISE program.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to introduce two members of our RISE program, Morgan Tamaro, who is a paraprofessional at Brownstone, and Lexi Weir, who is our brand new RISE teacher this year and case manager. I know I've shared about the program in the past, specifically the Beehive Snack Shop and some of the other things that we do, but we wanted to spotlight how the program has expanded and some areas that we'd like to grow in the near future, because it is really, a gem of our community and a really, really cool program. So our RISE program is about 7 years old at this point. It started at Gildersleeve, and RISE stands for Reaching Independence Through Support and Education. It serves students with significant neurodevelopmental disabilities. So that would be like autism, intellectual disability, and other kind of global delays that impact them, really requiring really modified curriculum and approach. We do use ABA, style of teaching in our program. And typically students have a one-to-one or a shared paraprofessional, again, because they have significant needs across multiple areas. Our staff members are not only, teaching reading, writing, math, but also a lot of really great functional life skill instruction, like toileting, brushing teeth, self-care, all those things that, students with neurodevelopmental disabilities really need support, across the board with. Students do participate with those non-disabled peers. So we have them, joining for lunch, recess specials as much as they're able. So whereas, really the goal always of our special education programming is to keep kids in their community, keep them with their non-disabled peers. RISE allows them to get a lot of the intensive support and education that they need without being removed from their community and removed from their peers. Next slide, please. So right now we have the RISE program kind of split between two schools. Thankfully, I know Lexi will be excited. We are next year, but just based on the cohorts and how the kids are graduating up, the program will be solely at Gildersleeve. Right now we have a case manager, Lexi, who is split between both of the buildings. So the program is a little bigger at Gildersleeve this year. We have 6 students, 6 paras, and then Lexi is the shared case manager. They also receive support from our SLP, from our OT and our PT. At Brownstone, we have 4 students this year who will be moving up to the middle school. 3 paras, and then Lexi again is the share. So the program has a little bit of a different flavor at Gildersleeve and Brownstone. At Brownstone, you hear from Lexi and Morgan about some of the vocational and pre-vocational opportunities we have going on, and some of the life skills instruction at Gildersleeve. But it's definitely a program that has grown, and we've seen nothing but growth in this area in terms of our needs in Portland. So it's exciting that we're able to continue expanding and reaching more kids with different needs. Next slide, please.
Hi, so we focus for our functional academics. We teach students through what's called discrete trial instruction, which focuses on breaking down skills into the small, manageable components, allowing for the systematic instruction. This type of learning allows for frequent review of tasks, as well as opportunities to demonstrate mastery of the task. And little steps are big milestones in these kiddos' learning. For life skills instruction at both schools, we do have a big life skills instruction. It's super important to part of to our program. We teach life skills through our coffee cart and snack cart at both of the schools, and our community trips that we take at Brownstone. These experiences help to teach money management, communication with peers and staff, measurements, sequencing tasks. We have task boxes, which teach important skills like problem solving, matching, building, and help with their fine motor skills. We also help with toileting and basic self-care routines. So we have hygiene bags for some of our students and deodorant programs for some of them, just to help them with those skills. Our social skills groups are a huge important part of our day. So each morning we begin with a morning meeting all together. It allows us to go to greet everyone between staff and students, review of the students' daily schedules. We practice the date, the weather, what clothing that they might wear during that season. We include whole group instruction and activities in the afternoon where we complete crafts or play social games, learn about math or reading, targeted to the interests of the students. Recently at Brownstone, we created a whole math lesson based on Lucky Charms and sorting them. Same with football, basketball. So it's a big, I like to relate it to the interests of the students so that they are engaged in what they're learning. For our targeted instruction, we have individualized instruction that's created and based off of each individual student's IEP goals and objectives to help them master those.
And just like Lexi and Sarah both had mentioned, beyond just the academic part of our program, there are also a bunch of life skills and just different skills we want to have our students grow in. The first part that we really strive to make growth with every single day is collaborating and communicating with the parents. So Lexi is really good about either weekly or bi-weekly, kind of depending on the student and the programs that they're working on, sending emails home to parents. It really opens up the communication and lets them know what they're working on each and every day. And then each and every day, part of our schedule, we actually send each child home with a communication sheet. On this communication sheet, we focus on the specific tasks that that student worked on. We talk about what specials they had, maybe different services such as speech, OT, or PT, and then overall how their day was. For a lot of these students, communication may be difficult for them to say what they did at 8:30 this morning when they get home to mom and dad at 4 o'clock. So we like to just kind of give a rundown, a summary, in case anything happened that day, whether it was good or bad, they know about it. We also, like Sarah had mentioned, focus on that pre-vocational skills. I like that it was brought also to Gildersleeve this year, but at Biz. So one of the big ones that we focus on are our Biz coffee cart and then the Beehive snack shop. At the beginning of the week, usually on Monday or Tuesday, an order form goes out to all of the staff members. It includes different things such as coffee, sodas, teas, snacks, candy. All the teachers submit an order form and some cash, and then it allows us to work on skills such as counting the money, organization, looking through the inventory, as well as some of our handwriting and OT jobs that kind of go along with it. And then on Fridays, we divide the students up and they actually go around to all the classrooms and deliver them to the teachers. It's a great way for them to both learn the responsibility part of this, because these are some skills that they could be working on for jobs in the future, but then also a great way for them to kind of connect with that community again, because most of the time they are in our classrooms. So it allows them to interact with the different teachers and the students as they walk through the school. And then our last one for a component of RISE that we are really excited to introduce this year were our community-based instruction and trips this year at Biz. We're hoping to kind of bring that to Gildersleeve next year when the program's there. But with our 4 students at Biz, sometimes for students in our program, a regular field trip might be a little overstimulating or overwhelming, especially going with a large group or to places that they might not be super familiar or comfortable with. This was a way for us to kind of instruct our kids and then bring them into their local community at a level that is perfect for them. The first one we did this year was actually Pumpkin Town in East Hampton, right on Route 66 in the fall. It was right around Halloween time. It was great. It was just a fun activity that they could walk around. We talked about the different jobs that the pumpkin people had at there. It was great for them to kind of get some steps in outside and enjoy the fresh air. And for some of those students, they've never been there before. So it was a great way for them to see that area. The next one, we actually went to the fire station right across from Biz, and Bob Che gave us a tour around. Our students at our level 2 are obsessed with anything truck or fire related. They were super excited. They actually got to go into the fire trucks. They got to try on the uniforms, as you can see one of our students there, learn all about the ins and outs of being a firefighter, and got to ask any questions they liked. They still talk about that one almost daily, if not weekly, in our classroom. They bring it up all of the time. And then most recently, we actually went to Primavera Pizza right here on Main Street in Portland. It was a great way to go to a local business and kind of get involved in our town. We did a whole unit beforehand, kind of teaching the students about pizza, the history of it, how to make it, what their favorite types are, learned some math involved with it as well. And then we walked down Main Street, and while we were there, they were super great with us. Each boy got to make their own pizza. They got to kind of stretch out the dough and pick their toppings and then eat it and talk with the owners there and really learn all about the ins and outs of that. So they loved that as well. We have some that we have planned as well coming up for the rest of the spring. Our next one is going to be to Hungerford Farms in New Britain. Again, for some of these students, going with a larger group to a kind of a petting zoo or farm location might be a little overstimulating and overwhelming, but with our small group with trusted adults and if they're peers in this program, we think that they're really going to enjoy that. And we also have some plan to go to Burger King and Adam's grocery store. Again, great ways for them to see places that they'll see in their day-to-day lives and also learn the skills that go along with that of making a grocery list and counting out the money and being able to greet and talk to people in their community, which is be really fun.
So we have a lot of hopes and dreams for the future of RISE. One of those being increasing the community-based instruction. Now that we'll be at one school, it'll be a lot easier kind of with transportation, and we hope to incorporate all those younger grades as well. We'd love to have the expansion of beginning job readiness skills. So our community trips, cooking skills, learning basic household skills. Recently, the Brownstone kiddos got to make pancakes. So we went through how much does each item cost, creating that grocery list, measuring out all of the ingredients, and then putting it, and then they got to eat their finished product, which was cool for them. Exploring RBTs to support our program. So it is tricky, our BCBAs throughout the district, and it would be super helpful to have someone to support the classrooms while she's out elsewhere, and to instruct and support teachers and paraprofessionals and students during the day.
And kind of related to that last one, we're looking into programming for some additional training for the paraprofessionals that work in this program. For any paraprofessional that's a one-on-one with any student in our district, obviously there's different nuances and ins and outs, but specifically for the students that are in this program, due to their intellectual disabilities or learning disabilities or anything that they're dealing with, having some extra background and information just how to deal with their education or their behaviors, we think would be really beneficial to both the students and the paras in that program.
Great, we'll let you check out these little cuties on this slide, and then we have another one with even more pictures, and we'll take any questions that you have, but these are the stars of the show, so we made sure we put as many pictures as we could fit on the slide. Want to hit the next slide? All right. Any questions about RISE for myself, Lexi, or Morgan?
Yeah, so I know next year, it sounds like you'll be primarily located in Gildersleeve, which is, I'm sure, going to be wonderful to not be bouncing back between schools. But I guess I would love it to hear a little bit about what it's like for you traveling between the two schools to meet student needs in both buildings. How does that impact you doing your job? How does that impact our students?
It's definitely, there have been some obstacles throughout the year. I couldn't do it without the support of the paraprofessionals, which it has been fantastic knowing that when I leave for the day and switch to the next school, I am leaving it in great hands. They all feel comfortable running the program and working with all of the students. It's been wonderful that we've had the support. So if we're down staff in one school and I need to stay at one school for the whole day just to support that program and make sure the flexibility has been nice where I can kind of go to the other school for the full day to make sure that all student needs are being met.
Thanks.
But we're definitely excited about being only in one school. It has been a challenge, like Lexi's ultra flexible, as you can probably tell. But occasionally, we have students who go through like bursts behaviorally, and we really need a teacher there full time. So with the cohort that we have, as you probably saw, it's all 6th graders and 1 5th grader. We wouldn't want that 1 5th grader to be alone in that program. And then there's 1 4th grader who would go to 5th. So rather than have 2 students either farmed out to other case managers, we're going to have our 4th grader stay for an additional year at Gildersleeve with some busing for inclusion, and then have our 5th grader move up to 6th with possible busing, just to keep those cohorts together. Because we do notice that our kids have been together for many years now, and they feel really quite isolated when they're alone and they're without, like, they call them like the boys, all the Brownstone boys. And so we're being a little creative within our district to allow cohorts to stay together and not have that kind of split programming, because it is super challenging, I will be honest.
Just a quick question on the space that you're gonna be moving into with the additional students. Is it adequate? Do you have enough classroom space or?
So it's kind of, if you've been to Gildersleeve, it's kind of a funky space. It's two small-ish classrooms with no connecting door. So we've talked to Bob Shea about creating a door, and he told me all about doors and I retained none of it. But there is a way to cut a door, and there has to be a specific kind, I don't know, I'm looking at Dave. There has to be some kind of frame that's a specific kind of frame, but we thought about putting a door in between just because it's hard. If staff are needed in one room, you're kind of going out, manually unlocking because we have child locks and then going into the other room. So that would be an enormous help. We've talked about some reshuffling of the spaces in there. One concern is that there are those exterior doors right out to the side. So those, kids who like to leave the building, having a push door that you can just kind of elope into the street is less than ideal. So in a perfect world, yes, we want to expand to a larger space. We'd love to make like a true sensory room, some things like that. But as we know, real estate comes at a premium in Portland. So we're kind of jerry-rigging a solution, but the door will be a great addition. So we'll go out and
do you have bathrooms in the classrooms that you're in right now, or?
We don't. So they're the bathrooms that are right by the gym at Gildersleeve. We kind of commandeered them as our own bathrooms just because a lot of our kiddos are in diapers or toileting. And it's really not ideal to do that in a community bathroom, have multiple staff like changing a child that's much older. Yeah, I mean, if we could put a bathroom in a classroom, that would be amazing. But again, we've kind of found a way to work through it. And Gildersleeve has been lovely with kind of putting signage on those bathrooms and earmarking them just for Rise so that we don't worry that kids are coming in when we're changing. Yeah.
I hope you get the door.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, he explained the door with a lot of detail. And what I took away is that we can make a door.
Yeah.
Just I did not retain all the information around the door, but we said that would be like one immediate fix. And then some shuffling around. There's also an office space in the middle of one of the classrooms and then a closet like office space. So we've got plans.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we've got some plans.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Lexi and Morgan?
My question is more towards the strategic planning. And I don't know if I should address it here, but how are we keeping their needs in mind for?
It's a great question. That might be one of the best questions we've had.
Yeah.
And
It's.
And I mean,
It's a
I think the
challenge.
answer, but also the answer is that the Strategic Capital Committee is tasked with proposing a plan for the district. The specifics of how that plan gets implemented that address all the needs of all of our programs across the district, that falls to our superintendent and the Board of Education to make sure that we are doing our best by all of our kids and all of our programs. Does that?
yeah, let me try that one too, because you're right. And one of the things we're helping the committee understand is that the committee is going to make recommendations. My job with these guys is to take those recommendations and design an education specifications plan that these are the experts in, right? Not the
Strategic
committee.
Capital
Like
Committee.
the committee is citizens who come forward with different areas
Their
of
input
expertise.
isn't,
These guys are the ones who know what they need.
of course.
And when we get to that point where we finally get this committee to understand that they're not the ones writing the ed specs plan, these guys would be with me writing that so that when we bring an ed specs plan back to this committee, it will have their input, right? And that is the importance of that can't be overstated because they know what they need. They need bathrooms, they need doors, they need spaces, they need cool down rooms, they need offices, they need storage. So when we get to that point, trust me, just like with the last ed specs plan, Sarah and Dawn before her and all of the specialized programs are going to have to give their input, which is absolutely going to affect the price of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other part that we're trying to get the strategic planning committee to understand is that they're going to make a recommendation. We're going to write an ed specs plan. The Board of Education has to approve that ed specs plan. And only then can we actually figure out how much it will cost. Everything else is just kind of guesswork until we know what programs we want to run, get the input from the experts who work in those programs, and then review that with the Board of Ed. Board of Ed has to approve that. And only then can we move forward with any kind of conceptual budget. But that's a great question.
My other concern is the interim planning. So even though we come up with a strategic end state, what do we do in the interim to make sure that these children are not left out for 2 or 3 years while we get to where it is we're going?
You mean
So
in the
that-
short- in any kind
Yeah.
of short-term reconfiguration
Yeah.
space?
Swings.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other key part that
That's a
I'm
huge part.
very concerned about.
Yeah, and I promise you, and I want them to hear this too, they are like the first thought that we have in terms of when we consider spaces both as swing spaces and then especially long-term
Yeah.
for the next 25 years
Right.
until the next group of people come along to figure out what to do. They're gonna have an important seat at the table. I mean, they're gonna have to. That's what the reason you probably saw our body language when you asked that is part of the difficulty we're having is if you watch the strategic planning committee, there's lots of numbers being thrown around, like big picture numbers, but all those numbers that you're hearing being thrown around, I hate to say are useless, but they're useless until we get an ed specs plan that considers the programmatic needs.
Yeah, right.
And then an expert who is a licensed architect
Yeah.
consults with a construction company to put real numbers, not just a bunch of guesses, which is what you're hearing.
Mhm,
And it's frustrating a lot of us
mhm.
because they're all just guesses.
Right.
But the process has to be, we identify the programs we need, we consult with the experts about what they need. They give us that information for an ed specs plan. We share that with an architect and the architect gives us a number.
Thank you.
Well, that,
Thank you very much.
that's what we need to do.
Yeah,
That's
no,
exactly
that
right.
explains the process to me, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we have other questions for Sarah or for our guests? No.
Thank you for.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing that with us.
Nice to see Morgan working in school. I think that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Following in the footsteps of her mom.
That's awesome.
She was a kindergartner back in the day. It's adorable.
We appreciate you being here. All right, we're gonna move along to our student representative report.
After a long but very successful winter sports season, we are now headed into the springtime sports season. Before we close out, Sarah, I would like to acknowledge various athletes that have exceeded within their sports. Nico Oliva and Morgan Pineda are both seniors who received honorable mention for basketball. Aiden Peterson received first team all-conference for basketball, as well as the Shoreline Conference Scholar Athlete Award. Students who qualified for state opens within their respective sports are Matthew Gish, who's from Cromwell, and Adam Dean for wrestling, Sam Lamalfa, Hayden Burke, and Breckenberg for indoor track. Sam Lamalfa qualified for all New Englands for indoor track, and he is a Class S state champion for the 300 and 600 meter races. And he also went to the New Balance Nationals this past weekend.
In Boston.
Yep. And Matt Gish qualified for all New England wrestling, where he is also the Class M state champion. There were also numerous records broken by indoor track athletes, including Sam Lamalfa in the 300 and 600 meter races, Hayden Burke in the 1,000 and 3,200 meters races, and Nate Dietrichson, Hayden Burke, Connor Libby, and Sam Lamalfa in the 4x4 meter relay. Congrats to all the winter sports athletes for their achievements during the season. And finally, after many months of preparation and rehearsal, the musical Anything Goes is being held this Friday and Saturday. This year marks the first time that the Portland Middle School students have joined the high school students to put on the production. And their addition to the cast has been paramount to the success of this production. The tickets can be purchased on GoFan or at the door on Friday and Saturday. There is one show on Friday at 7 p.m. and 2 shows on Saturday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. My ticket.
In other news, tomorrow the freshman and sophomore classes will be taking the PSATs, while the junior class will be taking the full SAT exam. These exams are digital and scheduled to take about 2 hours and 15 minutes. During this time, seniors will be participating in a Liberty Bank Credit for Life program, a program dedicated to teaching and encouraging financial literacy in our senior class. Additionally, this Thursday, all juniors will attend the annual college fair at the Excel Center. And on Friday, a group of students will be attending the True Colors Youth Conference at UConn. Here at Portland, we are we will have a spring blood drive, which is planned for Tuesday, March 25th. And lastly, the sophomore class auction is next Thursday, March 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. As you all likely know, this is the largest fundraiser a class does here at PHS, and it is largely responsible for paying for the costs of events like prom, their senior class trip, and many others. Thank you all and hope to see you there.
Good luck on the
Thank you.
SAT tomorrow.
Yeah.
Caitlin, are you relieved to not have to take it this year? Yes, I bet. Do we have any questions for Caitlin or Liam this evening?
No.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you both for the updates. All right, under communications and updates, we have Dr. Britton's report.
I only have a few brief ones for you tonight. First, I included in there a letter of resignation from Melanie St. Clemente. She's a paraprofessional at Bellevue. Wish her well, and I know that she's assumed a position that aligns with her master's degree and is moving on with her career. She did an amazing job for us, and we're going to miss Melanie. So I wish her well. Next, I want to give you an update. I'm really proud of this. I'm really proud of the work that our faculty has done. On the February PD day and then more recently the March PD day that we just had, we asked our teachers to do some housekeeping, right? Because a lot of our curriculum has changed. So, you know, we used to be a Calkins Readers and Writers Workshop. We've adopted into reading. We've made some changes to a lot of our curriculum. But what we hadn't done up until the past two PD days is make sure that the changes we've made to our curriculum are updated for everybody to see. So I want to take a minute to show you, in case you've forgotten, all of our curriculum is available online. Anybody watching this, if you want to know, like the opportunity here is, as opposed to saying to your student who comes home from high school, what did you learn today? Parents, if you want to know what they're learning, I'm going to show you how to take a look. So next time Caitlin comes home, instead of asking her how was her day, you might be able to say, hey, which Enlightenment philosopher influenced the spirit of 1776? Montesquieu or Voltaire, right? Like, get right to the specifics where you can, anybody in the community can now see month by month, in some cases week by week, what our students are doing. And it's now completely accurate because of the work we did on our PD days. So this is our landing page. I'll walk everybody through this and let you know what you can see. And I really think I want to work with our webmaster to make this more apparent to everybody. It's got to do a little digging, but it's all here. If you go to district and then go to curriculum and instruction, and then we'll scroll down. Let everybody see here. These are our curriculum specialists. These are the teachers who are paid a stipend to oversee vertical curriculum writing teams. So if you ever, parents, anybody have a question about what your students are learning in a specific content area, certainly you could email the principal or go straight to the curriculum specialist and they can provide you that level of information. That's why we put them up for their email addresses and their email addresses. Click the black box there. And this then gives you access publicly available to all of our curriculum. Scroll down to the bottom. And just that, all of that just gives you an explanation of curriculum. It's a little wonky, but for those who are interested in what curriculum is, that describes everything that you can see. If you click all courses, here they come. Now from here, you can search by content area, by grade level, by any number of things. So I'll pick on Liam. Liam, what are you taking for your English this year?
English 11 with Mr. Jones.
All right, let's test this. So if you, I hope I'm right, and I'm doing this cold, right? Change the grade to grade 11. Yep, and then go down and just click select courses down there. Yep, there we go. So we've got all of Liam's courses up here. Let's see if we can find his English course. Are you taking American Studies?
I think you have to reset.
Oh, reset.
Or sorry, no, that you have to refresh or something.
Click reset filter. There we go. Boom. Right. So now let's click English 11. And from here, it is February. Liam, are you working on? Oh, it's March, right? Well, he's still working on it. Ambition and Psyche.
Yep.
Right. Go ahead and give a click on Ambition and Psyche. And what we can get an insight into what Liam is learning in this class. This will give us a unit overview. Give that a quick read, Liam, and tell us if that's accurate. That's what you've been studying this month.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you scroll down, we get a picture of the standards that the curriculum standards that Mr. Jones and the English department are covering in this course. We keep rolling down. We give parents a snapshot, keep going, of the compelling questions and the enduring understandings. So parents can get a look at unit by unit, course by course, starting from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade, what our entire scope and sequence. This is a huge amount of work that's gone into this, and I think it's pretty impressive that we have this up there for anybody to take a look at. Now, what we're showing here is only what parents can see, right? You can imagine that curriculum has things like assessment evidence and all kinds of learning plans and resources and materials. You know, we don't want to reveal the tests, right? Or the quizzes that are out there. But that's our work now, is to one, make sure that everything that we're publicly putting up there for everybody is accurate, which in this case, I picked the one it is. And I'm confident after the 2 PD days, this is the housekeeping has been done and it is accurate. So that's what we really worked on over the past couple of PD days, is to make sure that all of the things that were inaccurate in here, like Calkins and other things that we've changed to, if you go now look at into reading, is now up there and reflects all of our math, science, social studies, STEM, social emotional learning, kindergarten through 12th grade. So anybody who's curious about what we teach our students, you don't have to be curious anymore. Go take a look. You can satisfy that curiosity and get an insider look.
How is this shared with parents?
Just the way you saw it.
But do we do open house?
Our back to school nights.
Back to school
I
nights?
think we need, what I think we need to do is a better job of making sure parents are aware of this. Although I do see the number of clicks this gets, and I'm seeing many thousands of people looking at it over the course of the year.
Last time I looked, it was kind of, you had a login and I didn't have a login, so I didn't pursue it because I had too many other things I was looking at. But has this always been available to parents?
As of last year.
Okay. Oh, as of last year,
Yeah.
okay, I probably haven't looked at it.
Maybe
in
2 years.
No, it's been a couple of
Yeah,
years.
2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I was never able to get into it, but that's,
Go
now
take a
you
look.
can, and now we should let people know, absolutely.
Yeah, so a real big shout out to all of, every single teacher in the district was in this over the past 2 PD days. A lot of work, and kudos to Tracy and Ryan for leading the pre-K2 and for our curriculum specialists for leading these groups. But I'm really proud of what's up there, and I think it's essential, where it's about transparency. It's about making folks aware, both so they're comfortable with what we're teaching, and we can do, and I think our next task is to make sure we're doing a better job of extending that continuum from the classroom into the home. And the first step in that is to make sure parents and anybody can engage our students in conversations about what they're learning, just like we did with William.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think having done the underlying tenets of that, the work is never done. It's always updating and always improving and the like, and always the legislation that directs us to offer more.
Yep.
It's a lot of work.
And so will this get updated regularly by the instructors?
Yeah, and that was what we started this past couple of days.
Okay.
So it's all, as of today, completely, I believe, accurate and up to date. I asked the teachers first thing to do is anything that wasn't accurate, either make it accurate or take it down. Right, so
Good idea.
as of last PD day on Friday,
Right.
it's accurate. Everything up there reflects, in this case, I tested with Liam and it is, so I felt really bad. It's like, oh, we can come with that. Let's go. But at this point, all of our teachers have taken a look and it reflects current, what's happening in the classroom.
That's exciting.
Neat thing is after doing that work on Friday, we did some wellness activities. So we had lots of different activities. Trisha did yoga, I know, with a whole group of teachers. We had indoor golf simulators. Chris Cody gave us. We did basketball, volleyball. People went for hiking or biking or line trail. It was just a great afternoon, a beautiful day. Give our teachers a little bit of a chance to take care of themselves, get caught up with some reading time.
Well, this is the second or third
Second
year
year
we've
that-
done it, and it
yeah.
really was a big success last year. And I missed the wellness
Yeah.
this year, but I think that was a great thing to do again.
Yeah, I think it was, I think our teachers appreciated it, and we'll keep doing it. I think the wellness committee, it shows a commitment. I think 2 of our successes in the area of wellness this year. I really love what we did with our contracts, putting that wellness incentive there. I think that encouraging people to take care of themselves is really, and incentivizing that is really important. And I really like these wellness activities, and he kind of doubles down on our commitment to the social, emotional well-being of everybody in our community.
I agree.
So they were good days. I'm really happy we did them, and we'll keep doing them. Next one I have for you is a short one. Very busy week last week. We had the budget hearing. I presented your budget. Thank you for those of you who came. And if you haven't, I know you were there. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I think I did a pretty good job presenting. We had good questions, though, really good questions from the Board of Selectmen this year. And I think they recognize our budget is pretty fair. I shared some of the concerns we have about, revenue streams and potential cuts and where we are. But I got some good vibes. I had some good feelings about it that were then followed up the next night when we had our budget workshop. More good questions. So it was a presentation and the workshop, good questions. Tonight, Bob Shea isn't here because he's down at the Board of Selectmen. There's round 2 of the workshops. He's there because they're talking about the capital improvement plans tonight. Next week is the last round. And then the week after that, hopefully, the Board of Selectmen will approve the budgets, which we then move forward in May.
We have deliberations tomorrow night. Is that correct? Beginning tomorrow night?
Yes. So.
Is
Yeah.
tomorrow night
Yeah.
workshops?
I think there's
Oh,
two.
Tonight there's a
Yeah.
workshop, but I think tomorrow
Tomorrow
night
night is
begins
another one.
deliberations.
And then next week,
I think I looked, there's a meeting and a budget workshop tomorrow night,
It's like-
where it's kind of
okay.
combined.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Look into that.
good. I'll double check, but that. And then next week is the deliberation.
Deliberation.
I have a good feeling. I feel like this has been pretty smooth this year. Last year felt a little rockier to me. I'm feeling pretty good. We have to keep an eye on it and answer questions and, hopefully the budget you've approved, and it was nice to be able to inform the Board of Selectmen that it was approved unanimously, will now be the one that heads out to the voters. So fingers crossed.
All right. Any questions for Dr. Breton? All right. Then we'll keep moving because boy, we've got a big chunk
Yeah.
of new business to get through. So the next item, the first item under new business is the Gildersleeve grants. And this is exciting. We have, I think, a record number of Gildersleeve grant proposals from our staff. And so Charles is going to take us through them.
Yeah, let me take you through these. So the process was different this year. Andy Bauer, who has taken over the Gildersleeve grant committee, went to all of the buildings and visited their faculty meetings to talk about the Gildersleeve grant and share with the faculty at each school what they're looking for. That generated, like you said, a record number of proposals. Now, I met with Andy and reviewed all of these. There are some of these that are in here that we're not going to move forward. I'm not going to recommend to you tonight, but I wanted you to see them, right? Just because be on your radar and they've come up in curriculum committee and some other places. And I want to talk about some of these and how we might fund them or consider them in future years or through other places. But not all of them are going forward for 2 reasons. One, there's not enough money in the Gildersleeve grant this year to pay for all of them. And 2, the Gildersleeve grant has some bylaws that Andy and the committee is making sure we don't run afoul of. So we had to trim back on some of these because there isn't enough money this year to fund them all. And 2, we want to make sure that the ones that get in front of the committee are acceptable per the requirements of the trust.
Do you have that figure before you start submitting, or is it kind of an unknown?
No, it's I don't know it exactly, but Andy does, right? He's got it in mind. He hasn't shared it with us. Like he doesn't play that card, I think, because I don't think he's met with his accountants or whomever.
Yeah.
But generally the way it works out is it's as much, dividends and interest as the fund has yielded from the stock market over the past 4 quarters. Now, the good news is that the past 4 quarters have been pretty good. The current one, not so great. Those of us who are watching our 401ks or 403bs, no, the stock market's taking a little bit of a tumble, but you don't count now. It sort of counts in looking back in terms of what's there. So as I go through these, that's what I saw Andy kind of keeping an eye on. And what I present to you tonight, Andy's taking a look at, and he thinks that
will all go through.
it will all go through, assuming the committee votes on it and approves it. But the first step in it is you approving it.
Mhm.
So I'll go through these. I'll point out the ones that Andy's looked at and said, yes, so we would be happy to entertain them.
Okay.
Make sense?
So if all got approved, what would the total dollar be?
About 107,000.
Okay, just trying to get it in my head.
Yeah, and we might want to take
Numbers.
notes off the top of my head too, but we can certainly add them up because you'll see the numbers.
I'm just curious.
But some of these are not recommended to move forward.
Correct.
Yeah,
So I just want to be careful. Do you believe, we do need to vote on each of these individually?
Yes.
So I would suggest maybe we go through one at a time.
Yes, and
give
make
the
two,
rec-
and make two columns, right? Make two piles. The ones that, well, we can do them one at a time.
I think we'll just do one at a time if that's okay, and we can, does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
So the first one I have
Well,
for you,
And maybe before, sorry.
I mean, we're not gonna say no. Why don't we just lump them all into one? I mean, that's kind of,
I do them one at a time. Why don't we do one?
no, I mean, as far as putting them at the end, voting on all these ones we want to approve in the yes column, instead of a vote, a second, and a yay 18 times, you know.
I mean. Was that a? Yeah. We have to do them one at a time. Yeah, okay, I think we'll do them one at a time. Although I'm with you, Dave, it would be much
Yeah,
more
why don't we
convenient
do
if
that?
we could do them as a lump. But I did want to ask, because I think this question will come up. Of the 12 that we put forward, the 8 or 9 that we put forward. If Gildersleeve grant folks meet and they go through and they say, we've got X amount of funding and you're asking for a little more. Part of your job is to communicate with them around what our priority items are. So that wasn't indicated on the versions that we saw today, but I guess the question to you is, do you have in your mind, do you already have your kind of list of priority items so that would be communicated to the Gildersleeve grant folks?
Right now in looking at these, I have one that is most important because if we don't get this one, we're gonna have trouble with the course that we want to run next year. The other ones then are like, it's really hard for me to rank them. They're all great, but I think they can all be funded.
Okay,
So I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know that we need to rank order them. I
okay,
think it's just approve them and then let's get them to the Gildersleeve. If there's any changes in terms of how the committee reacts to them by offering more or less money, we can make those.
Practice was that the people that wrote the grants would appear before the Gildersleeve Fund oftentimes to explain what the grant was, and that if it's something that has to be sustainable, we have to assure them that it's going to be sustained in our budget going forward.
Yeah, let me talk about that too, 'cause that's gonna come up.
Because that is part, yeah.
That is gonna come up. So the first one then, why don't we take a look at the one that is from Brownstone? The author of it is Stephen Jewell,
this is the artist.
artist in residence.
Mhm.
This is really cool, right?
really cool.
So, the total on this one is, $8,000, no, eight.
Well, there's
So
two
there's
numbers
two
there.
proposals.
Yeah, what is the one we're
It was-
going with?
Proposal A was the artist in residence with the Bushnell, and proposal B was through Hartford Stage.
It was just one, huh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good goodness, what did I do? So the one that I have is the one with the Bushnell.
Okay,
And he has, if you look at the budget, it's two numbers, 5,000 for teaching materials, cost theater tickets, supplies, $500 per workshop, and then 8,000 for 10 classes with an artist in residence.
No,
two
those are
se-
two
those are two
different ones.
separate
One's the
proposals.
Bushnell and one's
Oh.
Harvard Stage.
Okay,
it was like, it sounded to me like he was asking for one or the other.
That's what I think he's asking for.
Yeah, because 5,500 does 6th grade, but 8,000 does 5th and 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But with two different stage companies.
Yeah.
One's
did you
with
get
the
his stuff? He was
Bushnell and
asking
one's
for
with
one
Hartford
or the
Stage.
other?
Looked like he was asking for one or the other.
That's what it sounds like. It says briefly disguised.
I have
I have
two
two
proposals
proposals.
from local theater organizations to supply biz with an artist in residence this spring.
Right.
Proposal A versus proposal B.
Right.
My question is really around the timing, because proposal A sounds great, but it's two workshops that would be happening within the next week. This is for next week. So it seemed like the timeline on that maybe wasn't
yeah,
realistic.
well, I apologize then. I'm not sure what to do here. Do you want to just approve them and then trust me to make the adjustments? I gotta go back and ask Stephen and Mike what their vision for this was.
I mean, I absolutely support the concept of it. I think that you need to get clarity around when this is happening, because, I mean, so timeline wise, when the Gildersleeve grant is awarded, my memory is that we don't learn about that until kind of later in the spring.
All right, here's what I want. Here's what I
Might
want to
be
do
for
then.
next school year.
We should table this one. We'll put that on the April agenda. Let me go back and get
Okay.
clarity on that.
That would be great, because what an amazing idea.
Yeah, it's an amazing idea. I thought it was both. I thought they wanted to do both, not one or the other.
Okay.
So that's my
We
confusion.
needed
and-
this in January, hoping for
Right,
March.
thinking there might be funding by
So,
March.
yeah, and I would say that actually the Harvard stage looks like it's May.
Well,
If
that's
anything
okay.
could move forward, it would be Harvard stage.
Let me
at
go
this
back,
point.
talk to Steven,
Okay.
remove the one that's not right, make sure the one that gets in front of you, and we'll put that on the April 4th. We have time. We have
Okay.
time.
So
Time.
we'll table this till April.
Yeah, and we're actually ahead of the game. Usually we do approve these at the April meeting, so we're okay. I'll loop back on that.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
should just check to make sure that they can still get, because this is a 3-week, period with 10 classes for $8,000
Yeah, but let me come back on
in
this.
school. Okay.
Okay.
Stay tuned. So I'm gonna put artist in residence table.
Yeah, and it does seem like maybe this would be something that they would want to consider for next school year, as opposed for trying to squeeze this in.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't get it for this year.
Because,
so
right, the funding isn't available typically
Until
until,
the end
like,
of July 1.
there you go.
And if they did want to do it for next year, I would want to see this updated with
Yeah.
what who the artists are, et
I
cetera.
can look at it again.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know how I missed that, but we'll figure it out
Okay,
and we'll get it back to you.
sounds good.
All right, the next one, makerspace stools. This one's a no. Okay. Th-
Furniture.
yeah, this was furniture. Gildersleeve kind of took a look at it and was like, not entirely in our list of priorities. But I did want you to know that Meredith was looking for 18 stools for her STEM lab. Also not entirely sure that this is the best purchase for us now in light of what we might be doing with facilities down the road. So this was a no, but I wanted to see that too. We've talked to Meredith, thanked her for it. They can continue using the chairs they're using and we'll be okay.
Okay.
So that one's a no. Okay, the next one here is interesting. This is what I want to talk about. This is the Lego. This is really pretty cool. So there's a robotics club at Gildersleeve that the teachers are running this year without compensation, right? What we can't do as a Gildersleeve grant is fund the 4,680 to pay the stipend to the staff members. There's two reasons why we can't do that. It's bad practice to do that. One, it runs afoul of the Gildersleeve committee. And two, if the way that this is conceptualized is that Gildersleeve funds it the first year and that the board picks it up.
Right.
We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we had to fund something, right? So what I want to say, and we've spoken with the teachers about this and they're good with it. We'll let this go forward with the $800 for the a Lego stuff to do the robots. But this year, when we get back to the stipend list, this would be a great one to add as stipends in our extracurricular activities. So we wanted to get this approved for you without the stipends for the teachers, but with the $800 to buy the Lego robots for the kiddos.
And what if we can't afford the stipends? And then we've already purchased the software or the.
Well, then I'm hoping maybe the teachers will continue to do it as volunteers.
But every year there's some shuffling
Yeah,
of new clubs that take off and old clubs
Okay.
that kind of fall off. So
Okay.
I think what you're
Are you
suggesting is
making
that
a
this would be a priority. They've done a trial run this year
Okay.
and there's been a lot of student interest. My understanding is that there were like 90 kids who wanted to participate and they
Yeah,
could only
that's
accept the
big.
smaller.
Did we
chunk of
try
it.
to figure out what may come off before we, you know what I mean? Just so that we're not setting ourselves up for,
I think we'll be
I mean,
okay.
I would feel bad asking the teachers to
Yeah.
volunteer their time. But if we knew that there were one or two
You know what, I'm
stipends that
thinking,
would come off.
yeah, if we got what they're asking for here is,
They're not asking for a lot.
the Lego pieces, the things to make the robots. even if we just got that and used it during our what I need periods or for enrichment activities with the kids
Okay.
during the school day,
Maker spaces.
they wouldn't
the
go
library,
maker
it won't go to
spaces. They
waste.
will,
So
it
it
would
wouldn't go to waste.
Right, it
Okay.
wouldn't go to waste.
Okay.
That would be if we weren't able to pay the stipend and the teachers couldn't volunteer their time anymore, we would be able to use it in other capacities during the school day.
But
But if,
that said, every summer, I can tell you, every summer that I've been on the board, there has been reshuffling of who's interested in running different clubs and what the student interest is. And so I'm confident that the district will be able to make that work.
I am too,
Okay.
assuming the budget passes as it's
Yeah.
currently presented.
And I'm just wondering if $800 is an adequate amount for
Yeah.
Legos. So, okay.
They're comfortable with that. So I think what I'm asking for is approval with this for the $800, but not the stipends.
Okay. so you need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the application for the Gildersleeve Wheeler Educational Fund for the Lego League for $800 for the Legos only.
For a second,
I'll second.
seconded by Kim. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, the next one here then is from Karen Radzowitz. This is for $2,625 to purchase the ThinkPad notebook and a projector for Gildersleeve to be able to use in the cafetorium for school assemblies. We don't currently have that projection system in there. So that, when they have the different assemblies and they're doing the character counts and the wording things, they can show pictures and do wonderful things. So I shared this with, we're good. This is one to go forward. Andy looked at this and he said yes.
Okay.
The thing I would question, quite honestly, is a laptop that's gonna be used half a dozen times a year. We're spending $1,100. I mean, we've probably got thousands of laptops in this system. Projectors and things like that, I can see we don't have a laptop. I mean,
Yeah, we don't have, these are all Chromebooks. We don't have a lot of laptops.
just seems
So-
like it's expensive for a half a dozen times a year use.
Well, they use it every month. I mean, there's assemblies and then
8
there's
times a year,
special
okay, I'm
assemblies, so.
I think with
Is
our
this
fighting
re-
for dollars for Chromebooks, we'll spend $1,100 on a laptop that's gonna basically sit there.
So my only concern is, are they refurbishing the sound system at Gildersleeve? Is this part of the sound system that they're buying?
Yeah, you'll see it here. They got it's
Portable
everything
PA.
they need. It's a cart with the laptop and the projector and the speakers, so they can roll the cart in, just like Dave says, right? Roll the cart in, plug it
I
in.
bought one at Valley View, so yeah,
Right.
yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think it's important. Hopefully they'll buy it. I mean, hopefully they'll fund it.
Yeah, it's not a huge dollar one.
No, Gildersleeve paying for it, then,
Okay.
we were paying for it, I think, no.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We get more use out of it than ATOM, but I don't disagree with you, dude. It's a fair point, but I would think it would be a very nice thing to have a Gildersleeve for their assembly.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
it
it's all
seems
all the
affordable
components.
too, so, I mean,
All in a cart.
maybe it could go to Valley View if they needed it, or I don't know what
No,
the
Valley
needs
View
are at
has
Valley
one.
View.
If you looked at the kids singing, they have a card, they have a
Okay.
computer, they have all the
How about Biz?
speakers
What
and
is,
things.
what does Biz have? I mean,
Yeah, I know what they do in Biz. They have like a
Yeah.
wood thing they put over the seats and a projector on.
There's a
it.
projector
Yeah.
perched across
Yeah.
the chairs in the auditorium, and they do have a nice screen that is down.
Yeah.
And we toured Biz the other day. Bob was eyeing it, asking if he could steal it from me. Seriously, to bring it up to the middle school where the screen is listed.
Because the one at the high school here is also broken.
But it does sound like this would be very much appreciated at Gildersleeve for the community building that they do during their assemblies.
Yeah, no, it's very important. I'll make a motion to accept this Gildersleeve Wheeler Fund grant from Karen Radzowitz for a notebook, as described, a Lenovo notebook, an Epson Power Light projector, an audio engine A2 plus speakers, Rockville RAM 15 BT PA speaker and microphones, Logitech presentation remote control, and vault adjustable presentation cart with a total of $2,625.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Angela. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so for the next one here, this is another no. You know, I just want to explain it because it's a great idea. We'll remind everybody, this was a wonderful thing to have. This was $7,500 essentially to pay two teachers to run again what we'd been doing with COVID money, which was those summer literacy programs, right? I mean, for the past 3 years, we had a requirement that we had to set aside 10% of our COVID relief money for summer enrichment programs. And that's what we use to run the literacy camps at Gildersleeve. That the COVID money is not here anymore. We didn't budget for it in this year's budget. It would have been too much. The teachers loved it and they got a lot out of it, and the kids did too. These Ms. Laskowski, Ms. Bankowski thought maybe if we get Gildersleeve grant to fund it, we would be okay. But same thing, right? That Gildersleeve doesn't fund paying people these types of stipends, and it's not something that we want to commit to picking up after Gildersleeve. So unfortunately, I wanted you to see it, and I wanted you to see all of them. You know, we'll take the time to write them. I just want to give a hearing and an explanation as to why we're not able to do it. So this one is unfortunately Andy sort of said Gildersleeve's not going to be interested in that one.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's a wonderful idea.
Right.
But I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So we will not even have no vote, just we're not going to.
Yeah, you just move it forward on that one.
Put it over there.
And then similar, same thing, this Oskowski. I appreciate her creativeness. And again, there might be an opportunity to incorporate this as part of a stipend. But she had asked for some money for yoga mats and then a stipend for herself to run an after-school yoga program at Gildersleeve for the same reason. You know, the Gildersleeve grant is warning us away from paying teachers, and it's also something we would have to commit to. But the message I would want to get back to Ms. Laskowski, I think it would be great. Kids were doing an after-school yoga club at Gildersleeve. Maybe we can work that into the stipends and, you know, have it go through that route, but it's not going to be something that Gildersleeve grant is going to be able to. So that was just that's another good idea. Would love to do it. Maybe another route. Can't do it for Gildersleeve.
You might go to Kids Corner and borrow yoga mats, because they had yoga mats. Coming out of the title.
And if we can get a nice little stipend in there for her to do that,
30 of them.
I'd love to see the kids get, you know, some exercise in there. And okay, so the next one now is the so that was the the Tech Lab. This is a cool one. I'm really excited about this one. So this came from Kristen Novak and John Hilgendorf. What they would like, this is the total cost of this is $70,000. Okay, that's a big one. It's to update the music lab in the music bar. Do you take the electronic music? I see you shaking your
I
head.
had it during COVID, but I don't. think I'm good.
Do you take the electronic music?
It was a while ago.
Okay, but you know, they have the Mac station because the GarageBand and Macs are better for
Yeah.
this type of thing.
Music.
And there's also like keyboards that are hooked into it and a whole beautiful lab they're trying to build there. I met with Andy on this and he said yes, but he has asked if we can do it 2 bites. So it would be
Okay.
35,000 in this year and then 35,000 next year to kind of spread it out over 2 years so that we can fund more of these. I spoke with Jonathan Hilgendorf and Kristen, they're fine with that. They can, you know, buy the Macs this year and then get the stands and the keyboards next year and make it kind of work over a 2-year period. But we thought that was a creative solution. So I think what I'm asking you to do is, you know, approve this, but understand that we're doing this in 2 bites. So 35,000 for the music studio this year with 35,000 in next year too.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend to the Gildersleeve Rural Educational Fund a grant proposal, which is called the Music Technology Lab for Portland High School, Portland Middle School, to be split into year 1, 35,000, and year 2, 35,000, for a total of $70,000. Second.
Thank you, Kim. Is there any further discussion about this?
Well, the total says 72,667.
Yeah.
But
I missed, what, maybe I didn't hear correctly. Why are we splitting it up? Did the Gildersleeve people suggest that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Gildersleeve suggested, just do half an hour. Yeah.
The full ask,
Oh,
and then
split it
Gildersleeve,
for years.
when they discuss it,
Oh.
it sounds like Andy has a desire to split it over
Okay.
the course of 2
It's
years.
okay to do
And-
35 and 35, and if it goes over by, when they submit their receipts, they'll pay them.
Do it.
now.
Yeah,
And
you don't even-
my question is, without the second part, are they able to do stuff the first year, or do they have to wait till the second year to do any type of work?
Yeah, you'll see, Jonathan
equipment?
has it in mind, that he'll buy the computers this year. And then use them, and then next year you get the racks and the synthesizers and the other things.
The computers have software on them that they can create electronic music and do other music.
Yeah, he's gonna redo the budget so we can get it in 2 bites. One, essentially buy it this summer, get it installed, use it next year, and then finish the project summer 2027. 5, 6, 6, summer 2026.
Yeah.
And then have it completely ready to go for the 2026-2027 school year. So I think you just need to approve the
Just
grant.
approve the proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Portland High School, Portland Middle School, Music Technology Lab. So Meg made that motion,
Yeah.
and Kim seconded it.
Yeah.
Is there, are there any other questions? No, this seems like a really exciting opportunity
It
for our
does.
students.
They put a lot of work
Pretty
into
incredible.
handling all of it.
Mhm.
They did.
Yeah, wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, so next one is another really cool one, right? This comes from Miss Ball, Grace Ball. She was our newer family consumer science teacher. These are $18,079. What they are is their babies. I guess.
Trying to understand.
Yeah.
It's
I
really-
remember in high school, the kids carrying around sacks of flour, right? That's literally, and
Or
you
eggs
had
in
to
a
draw,
basket.
make sure that you brought that sack of flour back and not broken in some way. But these are real, like they're not cheap. You can see they're $16,579. Real babies that, and some are, disabled babies that you need to take care of, like the way you would really take care of an infant. And for the kids in the child development course, they need, moms and dads to be of the future, hopefully learning the challenges all of us who have kids know about tending to the needs, feeding, toileting, bathing, soothing, crying infants who cry. And these babies will simulate that experience for real of potentially having a baby, and maybe get some folks to reconsider whether you want to have kids right away. Like, I mean, whatever it might be, or give you that real world experience. And it's pretty cool. I have not seen these before, but there's also an honorarium in here for a pediatric nurse to visit the class to talk about child development. It fits right in with the curriculum that Ms. Paul is teaching. That was a very creative idea. Shared it with Andy, and he said absolutely something that Gildersleeve would support.
Wow.
Clever.
I have a funny story. Someone I know, she had one of these. She was in school, was at the time.
One of the simulators?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this was years ago, so we're really far behind because it was when my son was in school and he's in his 30s now. And she had the baby in a car seat and she put it in the front seat of her car, and she actually got pulled over by a police
my
officer
gosh.
because he
Because
thought
it looked
she
like it
had a
was the
real
car seat in the
baby in
front
the
seat of the
car
car.
seat, yeah.
Good friends, paying attention.
Yeah, these babies have been around
It's,
for a
I
while.
would say that we're overdue for this. When I read it, I was perplexed that it's taken us this long to get something like this.
It used to be eggs in a basket, if I'm not mistaken.
Eggs in a basket.
The eggs in a
The
basket
flour.
or the flour, yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to the Gildersleeve Wheeler Education Fund to fund the PHS Childcare Experience Pathway Package for a total of $18,779.86.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Angela. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. The next item is the Portland High School Introduction to Data Science.
Yeah, really excited about this course.
I'm guessing is the priority.
Yes, this is the number one, like, yeah, as you know, last time we were here, you approved this new course, Introduction to Data Science, and I'm really, really happy to see that go forward. So obviously, we're gonna be paying the teachers their salary. This $7,524 is the licensing, is the training the teachers need to run the course, but then the licensing on this really cool, one way I can describe it is a data warehouse, where students in the course are going to be able to access not phony data, but like real updated crop yields or weather data or birth rates or whatever it might be, and use that to run their chi-squares or, you know, analysis of variance or regressions to the mean or whatever it might be, to actually do the statistical analysis on real data that comes out of this UCLA-based data warehouse. So the total cost $7,524. Shared this with Andy, and I would say this number one because we need it to really do justice by that.
And then, so this says it's support. I see support for 2 teachers for 2 years too. Is that allowed?
Yep. you can
It's
do
not salary or stipend, that's training.
training.
Oh, training.
Yeah, it's their tuition.
Gotcha. Okay. And then does the cost of the data warehouse become an annual thing? I forget.
It does. So you'll
Okay.
notice this is for 2 years. Now,
Okay.
to run this course in the future, we would need to come up with a 2,900, 2,500, 2,600 and whatever dollars a year to pay for the licensing. So this will get us this course going next year and the year after. But then, yes, it's a recurring cost like workbooks or, you know, other warehouses. So it should certainly,
5124.
but
For
for
2
2
years.
years.
Right.
So divide that by 2. Yeah.
Okay, right. Got it.
The only question I got is, I thought we already approved that course. It says here, we intend to offer this starting in the 2025-2026 school year, parentheses pending the approval of this grant. So we didn't get this grant, we weren't gonna have that course.
That's a really good question. When the curriculum committee considered this, we were talking, they wrote this grant before we approved it. That might have meant to be said pending board approval of the course, right? You know, to me, if this gets denied by the Gildersleeve committee, we're gonna have to have another discussion about whether we want to fund this out of the LEA budget. My hope is that Gildersleeve understands how important this is for us to run that course. But I would consider these, you've already approved the course. I think it's an amazing course and.
I do too, but I would have thought we would have had the cost associated with it before we approved the course.
We did, we had the.
Doesn't
costs
sound like we're
associated
trying
with
to
it, but-
figure it out after the fact.
So Dave, if you remember, we approved this course after our budget had already been approved. So our budget request was already submitted. We had this course proposal when the curriculum committee considered it and then the board considered
All
it.
right.
We had the costs laid out, the annual costs laid out, but it was with the stipulation that it would be a Gildersleeve Wheeler grant to pay for the first 2 years of implementation.
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to the Gildersleeve Wheeler Education Fund to approve the grant, which is called the Intro PHS Introduction to Data Science for a total of $7,524 for a 2-year grant.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Angela. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And the next item is the Portland High School World Language Technology.
Yeah, and this one is a no. So we're not ready to go forward with this. It's a $35,000 expense. It's outside of the budget, right? So I need to have some conversations with our world language teachers about this. And it's just, at this point, Andy took a look at it and said, you know, he just has a feeling that there's not enough funding for all of these things and this year. We had to make some prioritize some things. So this was one of the ones that we decided
What
not
is
to
your chicken scratch up there? Sue?
back burner.
Back burner.
Yes, it was as we were going through these, you'll see I spoke denied, and this is one that yeah, that's my chicken. Right? And it was kind of like, put that on the back burner. We're unlikely to go forward with it this year.
Okay, well, can I ask a little more about that though? Because this is the update to the Spanish language course textbook and curriculum that was presented to the curriculum committee a couple of months ago, that was then brought to the Board of Ed for consideration.
Well, it is.
Yeah, I don't have any good answers for that right now.
Okay,
I'll be honest, this is kind of one of those ones that we just got to get back into the world language teachers and talk about them. The challenge with it as a Gildersleeve Wheeler grant is that they don't have enough for it. Like, there's not enough money to do all these other ones and this. And Andy took a look at it and was kind of like,
okay.
not feeling great about it, both from a budget perspective and this. Now, so that may mean that we have to do another year with the current resources we're using, because it was also one that we culled out of our budget requests, because it's not inexpensive.
It's not inexpensive, but maybe there needs to be more conversation about whether there's a slightly more affordable way to do it, but also,
And that's
I mean, particularly with the technology component of it, that I understand is important, but when we had this conversation at curriculum and then with the full board, it struck me that updating our Spanish textbooks and curriculum should be a priority item for us. But it sounds like 2000 books from 2007 at this point are significantly out of date, and maybe we need to figure out how to make this happen.
Well, my suggestion would be that we pull back the one that we just previously approved for the 35,000 for the music one. And that one's kind of a added, it's not something that we currently do. And it's also, Spanish is part of what a child needs to graduate for additional language credits.
Well, I think in fairness, part of what this is these are also Andy's recommendations. Right. Andy kind of sat down and took a look at these and considered these in the spirit of what he believes matches the bylaws and what his sense is in terms of what the Gildersleeve committee would prioritize. Right. I don't know that textbooks he was feeling that great about, although we have gotten Gildersleeve grant funding for textbooks in the past. He was kind of looking at that going, he wasn't feeling it.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that's fair, and I'm glad you articulated that, because ultimately this is an incredible gift that comes to us from this foundation, or from this fund.
Yeah, and
But I guess I just want to say that I hope we continue this conversation.
So I'm looking at two things. I'm looking, it says the current textbook published in 2007 is significantly outdated. Vocabulary maps, cultural content. It does not align with the 2014 updates to the AP Spanish exam. That looks like the textbook is $1,900. What they chose was an interactive with salsa dancing and trips and all of that. Looks like $30,000. They're going to go to the ballet in New York. They're going to go to the Wadsworth Athenaeum.
Meg, let me clarify that what you're describing, the trips and stuff, that's the 4,000 request right there.
Okay.
The 30,000 is, they explained this to us in our conversation,
Okay.
Kim and Angela,
Well,
I'm
then
sure
this
you
is very
recall this.
misleading as well.
That the 30,000 has to do with an online, like it's online curriculum that kids have access to. It's a platform it's a more modern way of giving kids a language experience.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we all know language changes from moment to moment, from year to
It
year.
does, yeah.
You get a textbook and it's good for the moment in which you purchase it.
Oh,
But the
absolutely.
online database that goes along with it
Okay.
is an up-to-date way for kids to engage and to hear language, to practice at home.
So is there any way that he can go back? I know this would be wonderful to have because it is, interactive. It's like Google Glasses, but is there any way to have him kind of look at what a textbook replacement would look like? I mean, is that at the very bare minimum? or
Yeah,
other?
so I guess that's,
'Cause it
right
looks-
now, Andy took a look at this and said, you know, he was like, no.
I mean, this is like
Put
the
that one
Cadillac.
back burner.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
he's, put that one in the back burner. Don't bring that one forward to the board right now, but I wanted you to see all of them because people
Right,
do
yeah.
a lot of work on these
They do.
and let you know that world language resources and supports are on my radar, right?
I know that.
I need more time, you know,
Okay.
this is part of the problem here, of course, is this is what the Eric gap is, and,
Mhm.
you know, we were starting these conversations and where we go now, I don't have any good answers for you yet, but I will. We are going to make sure that our world language is appropriately resourced with materials that will support that.
It just might not be through the Gildersleeve Wheeler Fund.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's fair, but and this is misleading because I'm looking at, textbook, hard copy textbook, $1,900. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, I think
but yes.
I think in fairness, what we can do is I can have a conversation with the curriculum committee about world language.
Yeah.
This is specific to Gildersleeve.
To-
And in fairness, I brought this to Andy and he looked at it and was like,
Yeah,
I'm excited about
okay.
it.
not excited.
I think we need to change the process then on the curriculum committee. Cause now I'm feeling like there's two things that we've approved on the assumption that it would go through the Gildersleeve and get approval, and now this isn't, and
Well,
the other isn't, and now it just feels kind of icky.
oh no, the other is the request.
IDS
The
course, yeah.
request for the data
The
science
data-
course
the
is
data
moving
course is
forward.
Moving forward.
But it's
I hear what you're
possible it
saying.
couldn't, it might not have, you know what I mean? I just feel like we're,
Yeah, I guess my feeling about that too, Angela, I
Not
don't
feeling
disagree
right.
with you. You know, we shouldn't be, I think what I would phrase what you're saying, we shouldn't be counting our chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Sure.
I
I'm
don't like
wondering if
that.
it wasn't a mistake to approve a course that we might not have been able to fund because the request for the course came in after we developed the budget and needs funding.
Yeah, and bring it to the board for approval as well, because that's what we did.
Right.
Maybe we should wait for that second step. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
think
no,
we need to have a conversation.
Concern, but had we, the flip side of that is had we held off on the data science course because we were waiting on the Gildersleeve fund to approve
Right.
funding for it, then we wouldn't be able to offer this course next year,
Yeah,
right?
and I
So-
guess the difference here too is that, you know, for a what would be a $2,400 training expense and then half of 5,100 for a total of $5,000 if we only got to
Make it work.
1 year. $5,000 in a $25 million budget. Hey, I can go to Stephanie and be like, Stephanie, what can we do?
Yeah.
Right? 35,000 is a bigger ask.
Absolutely.
Right? And the IDS course is a new course that needs these things. We've had Spanish for quite a while, and even though the materials are older,
Mhm.
we have the World Wide Web. And,
We do,
and
right.
resources
Yeah, there
that open source resources that we can use effectively because we are using them effectively now.
I think just my request to you though, Charles, is that given the conversation at the curriculum committee and given the conversation at the full board meeting when we talked about this, I believe there is support and interest in making sure we have more up-to-date resources for our Spanish language classes.
If I
So let's
recall,
let's
the-
figure this out.
Let's
I think
figure
is what I'm saying.
If I recall, the graduation requirements are different now for world languages as well, so that it's a curriculum issue that will be ongoing.
Yeah, and let's
Yeah.
tackle that as a curriculum issue, not a Gildersleeve. grant
Yes.
issue.
Yeah,
That's fair.
exactly. And I think the other thing is that Gildersleeve used to do like a November and then maybe a late spring. So maybe Andy, because he's new, has now, gotten everybody excited about applying and thinking about grants that potentially, so this could be why we see so many. I've never seen so many grants before.
Yes,
This is
yeah.
highly unusual,
It's great.
but that's
Great.
great because they're thinking and they're wanting to do more for our kids.
Yeah, and also, I know this is the exception to the rule, but I did call Laurel because I wasn't sure. And she explained to me your little chicken scratch notes at the top.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So if this does happen again, I think it would be beneficial to get your And for all of us to understand that your little comments, because if I hadn't called Laurel, I wouldn't have known
Yeah, and
what
that's,
you were
Right, and this
standing
is-
on them.
this, by the way, this process meeting with Andy ahead of time, I never met with him.
Yeah.
This is all new to me too, so
Oh, okay.
like if,
Okay,
if,
so we're all learning.
we're all learning,
Okay,
right? So next year.
Very good.
We'll learn from this year and I'll make it better. That's kind of like the progress here,
Yeah, I
but
think
Very
it's,
good.
it's a new process. You know, Howard never visited the faculty meetings, never kind of drummed up the same level of interest that
okay.
Andy
Andy's
has
a
now.
former educator in Portland.
Right.
And a former educator, so.
And Andy's very smart because he's been on this committee,
Yeah.
involved in the decisions of past grants and hearing some of the reservations on the committee members.
So he
to make-
knows,
So he knows what this committee is looking for, which is why he said, let me sit down with you, Charles, and look through these so that the ones that we get to the board are the ones that has the strongest level of confidence, no VRD,
Yeah, right.
but highest level of confidence the committee's gonna be behind.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we'll refine it a little bit more next year, so I'm not giving you a chicken scratch, but that's a fair point, right? Because even as I was looking at it, like, what was I talking about with back mark, right? And I forgot the R in the end of the mark. Couple more though.
Portland High School Library Wall Build.
Yes, very excited about this. We have a very talented teacher, Miss Terry, who is put forward a request to build a wall here in the library to create a school store, which
Nice.
I thought was very clever. So her request is to, she got some proposals, worked with Bob, and I'm not entirely sure where the vision for this is, but
It's that corner over on the side where the computers used to be, and it's just an open space that's not used by the students very much right now.
so right around the corner here,
Yes.
put a wall up and then have some inventory for and shelving for a school store that can be
Nice.
staffed by students in our DECA or some of our business courses,
I think
marketing
that's
courses.
great.
Yeah, my question was, what will you be selling?
We have a poster printer that you can.
Sorry, do you mind coming to the podium?
Yeah.
It's great to have you here to
Yeah,
answer the
I hate to
question.
put her on the spot, but
That's
she's right by
okay.
my corner, right? I have to over my shoulder.
Okay, we actually got a very large, expensive poster printer that can do magnets and on canvas material through a Perkins grant several years ago, and it was the intention that that was going to be used to do a poster business so that we would be able to do like the show that's going on. We would be able to do the posters in-house instead of sending those out for printing. Where it's at is not feasible to use it real well where it's at. Tiny space. And then when it's not getting used, it now has a problem and needs to be repaired. But that's a whole other side. But we would be doing t-shirts. We would be doing maybe the Give Club wants to get t-shirts for all the members of the club, that we would be able to source the t-shirts and make those for our inner clubs ourselves instead of them outsourcing to another place. DECA would be running the business as an SBE, our school-based enterprise. It would help with our student competition. I think you heard about last meeting, you heard about our 21 students that went to competition, which includes students learning about business and running a business. So that's what they would be learning and doing and hands-on. I even envision a manager of the store, school store, being a job within the actual enterprise right here in the corner. But posters, t-shirts, school supplies as needed, where there's a conflict with foods and so forth. So we're not going to get into snacks or anything like that. We don't do those. So it's all about merch. Basically, we would be supporting Portland merch, and not just the merch for the athletes, but for all of our students.
Anything goes.
Anything goes, yes. Wouldn't it be awesome if we did our Anything Goes t-shirts here in the building instead of paying an outside source to support another business? And I'm all for supporting our outside businesses. We need them. But if we could do that inside, and our students learned how to do that, and our students designed them, and our students actually made them and put in the work and the hours for it, and like had that experience to give them that information going out into the workforce, what an awesome experience for them to take with them.
So will you be supervising anything goes on these t-shirts? Like, just That kind
Oh,
of makes me
absolutely.
nervous. No.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, well, anything goes is the name of the play that's going on. So that's why we're saying anything goes.
I know.
But
I'm
yes, no,
Just relating it
Not
to
really any.
the
Oh,
words that may,
absolutely.
or any types of picture.
oh, no,
or
it would
something
have to
like
be
that.
a go through approval process. If they put in for a request for a personalized t-shirt, it would have to be approved and go
By
through
you,
myself. Yes, no,
not
yes,
by the manager.
no,
Is this manager's gonna be a student?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just making sure.
No, definitely. No, it would be supervised by or created by, Mr. Bernard does t-shirts too, in a course. So if we could do the t-shirts for him, if his class designed them and then we actually manufactured them for him,
So is
something
it,
along those lines.
are you allowed to do artwork or is it just words?
No, there could be some screen printing involved.
There's could be screen printing as well.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
Going to put you on the spot. Thanks for filling it. Just to get his serendipity.
Didn't know I was doing.
I did share this with Andy and he's like, absolutely, this is something now that he would see as the Seed Bunny Read and could offer a new experience for our kids.
I'll make a recommendation to the Gildersleeve Wheeler Education Fund for the grant that is requiring a PHS library wall build.
I'll second it.
Angela, any discussion?
I'm just, I don't know, part of it makes me a little uncomfortable. We're spending 10 grand to put up a wall in a building. We have 100,000 extra square feet. We couldn't find a room that we could use to allocate for this, even in here. I mean, we go in that room over there, there's never anybody in there.
Well, it's new now. You should check it out. They redid the whole thing. It's actually become the classroom
Oh,
now.
okay.
Literally, it used to be a
Staying
computer
for
lab.
most of the years I've been here, it's been nothing.
Yeah, that would be tougher, I think. You want to address that? Yeah. Okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, real good question.
No, that's a really good question. When I work with, and I have worked with some other schools that have a school store, and they are in a central location, somewhere close where it's visible, it can be seen, hidden in a spare closet in the back of the school, isn't going to make it accessible to the students or have them see it. Here, we're thinking if it's in that corner that's not being used very much right now, it was a compromise as well. I can tell you that with this corner, I wanted the windows. I wanted it front and center when you walk in the school to be merchandised really well. And we compromised, me and Mrs. Millard, working with the library with using the space, that this would be a good space, that it's not being used very much. It is central. Trying to gather the students into the library again is also something that we're working on as a focus for the school to get the library used. So it's another reason to get the kids in to the actual library space,
Yeah.
which isn't being used to its fullest capacity.
That was gonna be my second thing, is how often does the library get used, period?
We are
mean,
working on,
students
I can tell you that
shut.
we are working on that to get the students back into the library to use it fully.
Part of that has to do with our staffing challenges,
Yeah.
that we don't have a
That's-
library media
yep.
specialist in the middle school and
Thank
the high
you.
school.
Took the
So
word out of my
I
mouth.
think that's, that's gotta at some point be a priority for us.
Okay.
Can I ask if you talked with Mrs. Millard about any concerns around noise and whether having it here whether you anticipate it would create noise or distraction? We have absolutely, would not have even put through the proposal if I didn't have her support for this. She is all in. She's excited for it. Libraries today aren't the same as libraries when we were younger in school and you walked in and it was like a quiet space. I mean, yes, there are quiet spaces for study, but I don't anticipate that it'll be a hindrance to anybody trying to be in here for studying. The store would be open probably before school and after school during lunch when there is more students and there's more activity and it's not the quiet library times.
I do have a question.
Just-
That area will be ventilated.
Right,
somehow?
the walls aren't gonna go all the way to the ceiling. It's like
Yeah,
an
that's
8-foot
gonna be
wall,
really
so the
thick
ventilation
wall.
is,
Understood, but there's still the smell of paint or whatever ink in those big poster printer things,
it's a,
or laminators or whatever they are. There is a certain amount of odor that could be
Bob
offensive.
supported this and didn't seem to think that that anything was going to be with that. And we made sure that there was going to be space for the electrical, that there was enough space for the existing computer spaces that are there. We'd still be able to use those spaces for the designing. So I don't think that the ink smell or heat or anything is
with it not going all the way up to the ceiling, it's not going to be a problem. The ventilation will still be enough with what's over there.
I gotta say, I love the collaborative aspect of this, the extracurricular piece and the curricular piece, tying it into courses that are currently being offered. And I think creating those kinds of collaborative opportunities for students is really cool
Thank you.
and unique.
Yeah, I love the concept. And again, if it's a Wheeler thing, that's great. If it had been normal, I would have said hard no.
Thank you.
That's why we're blessed to have them.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have a lot of things like weight rooms and other things.
Exercise rooms, yeah.
We'd have the playscape at Valley View and just wouldn't happen. I mean, this is an amazing resource that we have. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? The motion was made and seconded.
Yep.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
One more.
Finally, the Portland Public Schools Smart Sites web platform.
Oh, this one's again, long overdue. So, and this fits in with the definition of you get what you pay for. If you look at our current website, which you just saw tonight, it strikes me as very kind of early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Not branding us in a.
no,
odd way.
it's you get what you pay for.
Digging
website.
deep,
It's
yeah,
Wix or
digging
something.
deeper and deeper, yeah.
So this is from Holly Russo. Those of you who are parents know all about Parent Square and you know about our Power School now. This is a new smart website that integrates with Parent Square and is going to give us a much slicker, cooler, user-friendly, not 2004 chic website and a really cool platform. So there is an initial startup cost and a fee, and then we're going to begin a migration of our current website content, this website, and then it sort of decentralizes it so that in addition to posting to social media or Parent Square, people can immediately be updating our website with more real-time information. It's great, something that's long overdue. So for $7,650 in terms of marketing and branding ourselves and providing more, 2025 looking content up there on our website. It's something I'd love to have. Andy took a look
You
at
didn't
it.
mention the last sentence.
Annual costs.
Annual cost of $3,900 for
Yes.
website.
So I had to go back and find out what we're currently paying for Wix. It's something like $2,200.
Okay, that's what my second question is.
Yeah.
What are we currently paying?
Don't quote me on that. Let me get you that information, but we are currently paying for our current website.
Sure.
This might be a little bit more, but that will be offset by what we're not paying for. Wix or whatever.
Well, and her interaction on the website is probably twice of what it should be because of all the new AI tools and all the rest of it that are probably embedded in this.
Right.
She's doing a lot of programming and.
But I think this would be really nice feature, and you kind of get a sense of what it looks like from these things. And yeah, I talked to Andy. He said, yeah, absolutely. But Dave, your good point. This is the kind of thing that once you invest in it, like Power School, we wouldn't have Power School if it wasn't for the Gildersleeve grant. Like, I mean, they originally purchased the year one transition and then the first year of implementation, and now we're picking up the tab for it, but we're not paying for Aspen anymore. It's a little bit more expensive than Aspen, but the product we're getting out of it,
It's like night and day.
oh my God,
It's like 80% of the state had Power School
I
and
know.
Portland had Aspen. I think you were the only.
no, we were one of
When I
two
did
and then
the-
one left.
Yeah,
We were
but I said
one
when
of
I
one.
did the SIP implementation, it was terrible.
It was awful. People were asking about it and then call it Aspen and it was still awful.
It was
I have a
like,
question now.
that's the town
It
I
says
grew up
ADA
in.
compliant, but are we also going to be able to offer translations? I know some websites you could click into a variety of other, common languages.
Translations right there.
Oh, I didn't, I saw the ADA and I didn't, okay, good, that's fine, good. I'll make a
So is
recommendation.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is Holly the one will she be working with the smart sites vendor to put this together, or do they just hand her a tool and then she has to come up with it on her own?
No, they'll support that. That's part of the
Support her.
upfront costs.
And
is-
she's the point person though.
She's a guru on all
She's
of the
our-
data
Okay,
systems.
good.
She's not only our webmaster, she's also our Power School and Parent Square
Okay.
person.
And she was the file, the electronic library catalog person.
Good
She's
for her.
brilliant.
Yeah.
she knows her way around.
She wouldn't have brought this
Yeah.
to us if it wasn't gonna make her life easier, one, and, improve, all of the branding like they do in the graduate over there that we do, and
It's overdue. I'll make a recommendation to the Gildersleeve Wilder Education Fund from Holly Russo to do the PHS Smart Sites web platform for a total of $7,650.
One second.
Seconded by Angela. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Excellent. That passed unanimously.
thank you. So then just to wrap this up, I will have whether it's Bushnell or Harvard Stage, I'll get that cleaned up and we'll have that as an old business item on the April one, but just so you're aware, if you add up the cost of all of these, and I have it in my office, that's what Andy said he would be comfortable with. And the thing he also liked about it is it's spread out over all the schools, right? We're getting
Yeah.
Gildersleeve, Brownstone High School, and then of course district-wide, we're getting the website and other things. These are, what a gift, right?
It is a gift. We're very
What a
fortunate.
gift. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next item of new business is a discussion and possible action on our boiler situation at Brownstone. So Dr. Britton, I'm gonna hand it over to you to.
All right, so we had an emergency.
Yeah.
All right, good luck tomorrow. All right.
Oh, yes.
Get-
Good luck.
Eat a
tomorrow.
good breakfast and.
Drink lots of water.
All right, so we had a emergency buildings and grounds committee meeting last week that follows up on some bad news. The boiler at Brownstone gave up the ghost. So there's two boilers there, one is gone. The challenge is, of course, the second one is the same vintage make and model as the first one. So there's a very good chance that the second one's gonna go too, although it hasn't yet, but the reality is if you're gonna replace one, you might as well replace both of them, otherwise you're running two boilers that are different. And it's less expensive to replace them both at the same time because the way Bob will explain it to us is that you gotta have scaffolding and move it into this little space and take the old one out. It's not good, right? So
And I
What
believe
Bob
told us-
described as pieces, 15 or 20 pieces of this boiler have to be removed. They're 900 pounds a piece.
heavy,
It's heavy, it's the crane comes in, and there's really no good exit for taking these things out. It's below grade. They have to take it through a narrow window and it's not exciting.
Did you know these are from 1988?
1888. So the other problem is that there's a long window between the time when you put an order in, get it and have it delivered, almost 6 months, right? So fast forward from 6 months from now, we're right through summer and into the middle of fall, getting close to heating season, right? So Bob really needs us to move on this. Now, I met with Stephanie, Bob, Tom, and Mike Pelton Thursday last week and shared the bad news. The feedback I got from Tom and Mike was, we got you, right? We got you. So by that, Bob has given Tom now, I literally just got it not 10 minutes before I walked in. Let me pull it up here real quick. It is the bid spec. Oh, no.
It's the RFP.
It's the spec, the
thing that
type
goes
of
out.
steam boiler and burners and hookups and
It
all
gets
this.
sent out for an open bid, so they'll get bids back so that they can figure out who's gonna do the
Yeah,
work.
so
Supply.
what Mike and Tom said was, give us this so we can get the bid out there. We were gonna ask you for a bid waiver tonight, but Tom said we would do this quick. We were worried about Tom's bandwidth in terms of budget and all the things.
And he always
Tom-
comes through.
Yeah, he comes through, exactly. He said, let me get get it out there to bid. Let's not do a bid waiver and just stick with Perfect Temps, because this is what you got
This is the quote from Perfect.
from Perfect Temp, that when they came in and tried to fix it when it broke, and they said, stop, fixable. And it would be 286,000 for both of them, right, for both, right?
So how-
But this
how
is
fast-
just one of,
Right.
Yeah.
So what we.
so this is a roundabout.
So Bob is excellent at this stuff, by the way. he worked with Perfect Temp. They know, they're obviously gonna take your bid. He put the specs together. Literally, it's in my email from about 4 o'clock today to Tom. We spoke with Tom today. Tom's working with the Board of Selectmen, writing a resolution. We've got to do this. We've got to do it. Now, the funding for it isn't clear to me yet, right? Whether it's gonna be Fund 11, any leftover money we have this year, town fund balance,
What's Fund 11?
That's our maintenance
Our-
fund that when we have a surplus at the end of the year, in years past, when we had ended the year with a surplus.
Yeah.
We had been able to put some of that money into that as sort of an emergency maintenance fund.
Thank you.
So between the different sources, but Tom was also very good. Tom was wonderful. He said, I don't want to wipe you out. I don't want to wipe out your Fund 11 or your potential end of year surplus because we know you have lots of other needs too. But between Fund 11, potential end of year surplus, still keeping my fingers crossed and very appreciative of that $40 million supplemental we recently got. So between Fund 11, our end of year surplus that we're projecting as of now, the $100,000 in capital that we got next year, and the potential for town fund balance, we're gonna Tom's gonna figure this out for us. I'm confident he will, but it's got to go through the Board of Selectmen, may need to go to town meeting, may need to come out of fund balance now to be reimbursed or something. I'm not entirely clear on where the money's coming from.
They're still working on that.
They're working on that. I'll update you by April, but I'm confident that within the next week, a solution on the funding is going to be found. And I just need you to know and hopefully enjoy your support and get this done now so that the thing will be here by October because it starts getting cold in November. And we will be in a really bad place if we're trying to heat Gildersleeve with one old boiler.
Well, it won't work. It'll fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it right now because even towards the end of the
Gildersleeve
winter, it was
Brownstone.
Brownstone. It's
And
doing
the
double
shame-
duty.
The shame is that.
Are the
that
kids
Bob was
cold
hoping.
now? I mean, is the one boiler sufficient enough for the kids right now?
It's chugging along. And if
And
the
it's
building's
heating
open,
all the school.
it's heating the whole school.
Okay, good.
It's doing
The
double duty.
concern is that
Yeah, what if it
Because it's
peters
working
out?
overtime.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
still kind of chilly. I mean, I have my heat on still. I don't know about you.
So in 1988, I worked in the health room at the Portland Middle School and they had an external thing running a heat into the building because the
Yeah.
boiler was broken. And that was when they
Temporary
replaced both of them.
Mm.
And we talked about putting an external unit out there again, but it's like $3,000 a week.
Mm.
And
And loud
and it's very
Yeah.
loud. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we all heard. So all the
Okay,
classrooms. I've been
So
in.
that would be the alternative if God forbid anything
In an
happened.
emergency, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, we listened to the misery of this because it really is, and this building may or may not be a school, but we still, if we were gonna sell it or the town was gonna take it over, they're gonna need heat, so we have to fix it. This is
Oh,
not
Definitely.
we can wait or put it off or whatever, so. As much as I hate to see us, finishing, spending 6,000, whatever dollars. We have to do it, so I would make a motion tonight that we accept.
Well, I don't,
hold on, I don't know that
Oh,
let's
You're not ready to
pause.
do that.
yeah, I don't, the action item I was gonna potentially ask for tonight was to make a request to the Board of Selectmen for a bid waiver, right?
Okay.
But it
Because
sounds like we're not gonna need the bid waiver, that
No.
we think we can get out to bid fast enough. That's my
it's the breaking
question.
news.
That is my question about the timeline on that. If Tom was confident that we could go out to bid and get an answer
Yeah.
relatively quickly, what does relatively quickly mean?
Probably in the next 2 weeks.
The bids, the specs that Tom needs to put the bid out, he got about 2 hours ago.
Okay,
Tom understands the importance of this and that it can't wait and that.
I guess I'm just wondering, is there like a mandatory timeline on that, or can you set it a little bit shorter? Understanding that,
All good questions. Yeah, I
I
don't,
think he can put it out there for 2 or 3 weeks if he wants. I mean, and then he gets the bids, they open them up. They'll take the lowest bidder or they'll take the best bidder, whatever.
What I've found with the town is it's always difficult for him, Tom, to identify the additional vendors.
correct. Yeah,
So if there's a way that you can get him the list of additional vendors, when you give him the additional specs, that might, unless he already has a list, which I doubt.
it was really neat to sit in the meeting with Tom because that meeting happened after buildings and grounds, by the way. the nice thing that we have going for us is that we just did this at Valley View. If you remember 2 years ago, we replaced a boiler at Valley View.
That's right.
Tom still has, because he was rattling them off, the Rolodex of companies that make these things, right? And he was confident, and he impressed me and Bob with I got you, I will be dropping everything to get this out, understanding the lead time, and that give me the bids, Tom to us, give me the bid specs, which they're right there. I got them right in my, as that I will then take them, get them out on the wire, the whatever they
Yeah,
spin them out,
they put them out
publish them
everywhere.
in,
Everywhere they publish them.
and also reach out directly to those companies that we worked with through Valley View, so they're aware of our request, which will speed up the process.
Can you maybe keep us in the loop?
Oh, yeah.
Email us, and with the progress, just so that we know that it's moving along.
Yeah, and I promise you I'll do that because we're gonna want to, as we watch this thing go, have plan Bs and Cs
Yeah.
in mind if whatever's gonna happen with tariffs, or if there's another supply line, or it comes here and they don't get it right, like,
Right.
you know,
We very well might need a backup.
we need backups and some redundancies so
Yeah.
that if anything falls apart in this very tight timeline, we're not figuring out where we're gonna teach kids.
Yeah, and I'm worried about the funding too.
Me too.
So
Yeah,
let's have that as a update point,
yeah, I can.
I'm not worried about the money.
you know.
No, I
They
think
have a
they'll
lot of money.
they're gonna find the money.
Okay.
They'll find the money.
Okay.
And I don't think we'll have to drain our
They can keep
capital
a balance,
improvements next year.
So,
$4 million.
yeah, still. The town is all. up
Well, we have
in arms about
another
everything.
meeting in
Yeah.
April,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah,
hopefully. in the
I
next 2
promise you
weeks-
that Bob and I have our eyes on this.
Yeah, I know you do.
We very much, because again, things even everything has to line up perfectly here.
Yep.
We have to get the money, we have to get the bid out, we have to open the bids, we have to get the order in, and then hope that some foundry somewhere is making this thing, because it's a 1988.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, like, this Perfect Temp is giving us a 20-week lead time. Maybe somebody else will come in and say, we've got a better connection and we can get it for you in 14 weeks.
Exactly.
But
Get
that's
it
the-
in the warehouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, that's
Yes.
right,
Right. So let's be hopeful, I suppose.
Well, the only other thing I was gonna say is that Bob had hoped to update the heating system in general to make it a more efficient heating system. By this is steam. It probably was a coal furnace when they replaced the ones in 88. But he, now he's gonna settle for the steam again because this is what we can do. And this is what's gonna make things work for the kids next November.
And that's what I hope. I hope I'll be coming to you in April saying, we got it all worked out, right? But if not, if like we're going into May and June and, there's still some anxiety about it, I'll start to share with you, because I already got them in my mind, what
Where we
the
gonna move?
redundancy will
Yeah.
be, because we're not gonna put all of our eggs in one basket. We'll have plans, and there are options.
Yeah, they're right.
Some are more disruptive than others, and some are more expensive than others, but we've got an
Plan A,
emergency.
B, C.
Yeah, we gotta do, what we gotta do.
All right, now can I make a motion now?
No, I don't think we need a motion.
Don't need a motion.
We're
Yeah,
just
don't need any.
informative,
This is-
and
yeah.
at the point that we're looking to pull money from funds, we'll need a motion. But I think at this point. Perfect.
This is just a heads up.
All right.
All right. Were there any other questions? I didn't mean to put anyone off. No, okay. We have no old business this evening, so we're gonna move on to committee reports. Curriculum has not met since the last meeting. Policy,
Just met before this meeting, which was good to have everybody together in person. And we are working on several policies that one of them will come forward next meeting in April about suspensions and expulsions and suspensions. And the next meeting probably will be May, if not late April.
personnel has not met since our last meeting.
Oh.
Except the only update I did want to give you all, because you might have been expecting the administrative assistance contract on the agenda tonight, and it has not been approved yet by the bargaining unit, and so we wanted to hold off until they've approved it, until they've ratified the contract. So fingers crossed they will ratify and then we will see it in April.
And nurses are underway.
And yes, we did the part on the last time. The nurses are underway. We are meeting tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow. Buildings and grounds.
You heard the sad tale about the boilers, and that was the only thing that we discussed. It was a special meeting, and there was no meeting planned at this time.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, they meet tomorrow at 11:30.
Board of Selectmen.
Just the budget work shop stuff. So that,
Right. Youth Services Advisory.
Was meeting tonight, and they're planning the Easter egg hunt and some other fun things.
Do we have a date for that?
I don't have it solid in my head. It's the week before Easter. I think it's the Saturday before Palm Sunday.
Equity and inclusion. Sarah's not here. I believe they were meeting at the end of this month. Yeah, so maybe she'll have an update next time. And then Strategic Capital Improvements Committee. Since the last time we talked, we've had 2 meetings, we toured bids. We have gone through the list of 5-year-old list of capital items. Bob has done his very best to put values to things that that's been challenging for him. Conversation is ongoing. We will tour
Gildersleeve.
no, touring Valley View tomorrow, sorry, Thursday, and then Gildersleeve the following Thursday. So.
you're definitely not gonna make the May referendum. then.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. It's just, it was not
Not in the cards.
in the cards. But conversation continues, and hopefully we will get to a place where there will be a recommendation to move forward. Any questions? No? All right. Audience of citizens? Yeah, an empty room here, so I'm wondering if there's anybody online who's wishing to address the board? Nope. All right. Board of Education member comments. Let's start over here, Kim.
I want to say thank you for the Board of Ed appreciation and, oh, yeah, we'll come to you next. Sorry.
I'm gonna zigzag around tonight,
Yes.
apparently. Sorry, Caitlin.
So yeah, it was really nice to see all the students. It really is great that we have the spotlight and have them come to visit it. It reminds us why we're here. So thank you.
Oh, I agree. I enjoyed seeing all the students and all the gifts for all the work that you guys have done. So.
Angela?
Thank you to the community for coming out this evening, the young kids, and I love my bookmark. Absolutely love it. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but on these little carve outs, there's a little thank you on one side and it says Board of Ed on the other.
It's so
So they're
clever. So
absolutely
very
adorable.
clever
I
design.
really appreciate it. And yeah, I think last year when I joined on Board of Ed Appreciation Day, and I felt a little undeserving because I hadn't done anything yet. But I feel very much appreciated, and I echo a lot of the words that you said, not only for myself, but for everybody on this team. We work really well together, and I really am grateful that all of us have open minds and allow people to ask questions, and that's what it's all about, is about the students, faculty, and the community. So I appreciate it. Just want to say I appreciate the Board of Ed as well. So thank you to all of you as well.
Well done.
I echo everything that's said about the appreciation, and we do work well together. I feel that confidently. And the last thing is, I think we should have snacks at every meeting.
But maybe not sitting and staring at us.
Yeah.
across the room.
The entire time. I'm kind of blocked. That's kind of good. I like that. I echo everybody's sentiments, and I can't think of a better group of people that I spent a lot of time with, including Trish and Caitlin and Charles as well, and the people that run our AV stuff. But I really appreciate what we do. I think it's important, and we always have our students front and center. So, but I do want to bring something up, because I know that there is a what is it, 300? I don't know. I can't remember. 250th anniversary of this country
Mhm.
and the founding. And there's a committee that was formed by the Board of Selectmen.
That's right.
And we don't have a Board of Education person on that committee. So I don't know if there's somebody, when we get everybody back together, somebody wants to serve on that committee as they plan the festivities for that year.
They set aside a spot for the Portland schools to be represented. That's right.
Yep, they did. So understanding that it could be a board member, could be teachers, and I think it should be a student actually, or a combination of people from the board, because we represent a lot of different parts of the community. So just a suggestion, I saw that
Thanks for bringing that
Yeah.
up and putting that on our radar. I would,
Yeah.
I would love to talk more about,
That's right.
because it might be that we have, that we have a teacher who's particularly passionate about history, who would be interested in working towards some partnerships with the schools and this committee.
And I know that the kids in past years, when Portland has celebrated a specific milestone in their history, the kids had floats, they made floats and they all were in the parades and things. So just kind of going forward, I think that would be important. And I think just visibly, the schools, Portland schools needs to be more visible. So there's other areas that we can participate in, but that one is front and center.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's a great idea.
Otherwise, that's it. The legislature is busy and I think they've all lost their minds up there. And that's what I will say. I'm gonna change the too many books, too little time, to too many bills, no money. Because that's really what it's about. It's here. We've been busy.
Last week, Meg and Sarah and I were able to go up to Hartford for the CABE Day on the Hill Advocacy Day morning. And it was great. We did get to hear from Representative Khan, who co-chairs the Special Education Select Committee that's looking towards solutions around excess cost and making that more predictable and sustainable as a funding source. So that was encouraging.
It was encouraging.
I definitely felt a little optimistic hearing her talk. It's a high priority bill for them. They likely there won't be a public hearing, and it sounded like until early April possibly. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on that. But it was good to be there. Meg and Sarah and I delivered a letter to Representative Carpino and a letter to Senator Needleman's offices to just highlight again for them the things that we highlighted in the letter that the full board sent, to reiterate how important special education funding in general is to our board right now, and to invite them to attend a future Board of Ed meeting if they're interested.
We could send that letter out too. I mean, because
So
we did.
I'm hopeful we'll hear from them. And I think that's just.
And I've testified up at the legislature. Laurel is going tomorrow to testify. They want to hear from board members. They want to hear not just chairs or not people involved in CABE, but also other board members. So if you're inspired and you decide to write a letter or get a hold of somebody, let us know. Because I think that's had the most impact, and that's how we got the 40 million, which the governor was going to give us, and then he took it away, and then the legislature overrode his veto. And so we do have the extra 40 million, which was a drop in the bucket.
Technically, they didn't override his veto. They found a different
They
funding
found a
mechanism
different
and worked
funding, right,
together to
right,
find a good
right.
solution. So there's gratitude all around for that, because that will help every district across the state.
Right, but they were getting ready
Including
to
ours.
override the veto, and so, yeah. Anyway,
All right.
and that's it.
I think that's all I wanted to share. Anything else? No, I think that's it. We have no need for an executive session tonight, so looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Second by Angela. Any discussion?
Nobody wants to
All in
leave.
favor?
I
Thank you
can-
all.
Let us all.
Have a
be
wonderful
colleagues.
evening.
Yeah, have a wonderful evening. Good meeting.